Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. I'm recording this from the College of Bishops meeting in Oxford. This residential meeting of all the bishops in the Church of England happens once a year. It's a time to be reminded that we're part of something much bigger than our experience of the Church in the Diocese of Hereford. Every diocese is different, and at this meeting we've also had visitors from the Anglican Church from around the world. Each is trying to be faithful to Christ in their own unique setting. The danger of meetings like this is a detachment from the reality of church life in normal parishes around the country. Big picture conversations about strategy have to have a connection with the local church, or they're of no value whatsoever. They can even be counterproductive if the ideas are received as yet another burden by already hard-pressed local congregations. Someone once said that Jesus preached a simple gospel, St. Paul made it complicated, and theologians made it incomprehensible. That is a bit harsh, but there is some truth in the observation that the Church has found ingenious ways to explain away and qualify the words of Jesus that are culturally inconvenient. At its simplest, being a disciple of Jesus is to receive his forgiveness and then seeking obediently to follow his teaching day by day, not by learning a new set of rules which we try to obey, but in opening ourselves to the work of his Spirit within us, to form us into his likeness. To be a disciple is to become more and more like the one we follow. Most diocesan strategies, ours included, put growing discipleship at their heart. The emerging national vision is to foster a church of missionary disciples. But I know that on the ground, in the reality of Christian experience in our diocese, such language can be seen as overly demanding or even threatening. This particularly if it implies what's going on now is defective, or that it must require a lot more work from already stretched volunteers. But discipleship is not about a particular set of religious practices or even church activities. It's much more about the choices we make and the heart that lies behind them in the everyday. At the end of our communion services, fortified by meeting Jesus in word and sacrament, we're commissioned to go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Or if we're more familiar with the Book of Common Prayer, we're exhorted to shine as a light in the world to the glory of God the Father. Both convey similar ideas. Discipleship is about character before it's about activity. It's a pursuit of what Paul in his letter to the Galatians calls the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. The fact is that every interaction, however small, is an opportunity to grow in our discipleship by manifesting such fruit, thereby saying something of the love of Jesus. It may be as simple as a smile or a kind word to a harassed shop assistant. It might be an expression of gratitude to a carer. It could be stopping focusing on our own needs and showing curiosity about the life of someone else at the school gate. It might be something more serious in deciding not to pursue justice, as you might see it, against someone who's slighted you. Paul got very cross with the Corinthian church. Rather than showing forgiveness to one another, they were settling disputes in court and thereby bringing the gospel into disrepute. His advice was simple: why not rather be cheated? In past ministry, I've encountered situations in church communities where one honest mistake by someone in leadership, even followed by a sincere apology, has been greeted by an almost vindictive refusal to let it go. I wonder what on earth the protagonists hoped they would achieve by this. It became toxic to community, relentlessly pursuing our own quest to be seen as right whilst grinding the other person's face in it. is not an expression of Christian love, however many pious words are used in justification. To encourage this sort of discipleship growth, maybe we should think about raising the spiritual temperature of our post-service conversations. What does your week ahead look like? What would it look like to shine like a light in the world in that context? Where have we sensed God at work in the everyday business of doing life? How can I pray for you, and how could you pray for me? These simple questions wouldn't require any more money or new activities to increase the burden on volunteers, but it might make us look at life through a different lens. It might encourage us to pray for each other more frequently or fervently. It might shift the culture a little bit in the direction of helping one another to be better disciples. More importantly, it might show something of Christ's love to our friends and neighbours in a way that creates an audit trail to Jesus. And who knows where that might lead.